Hey everyone, how are you doing today? I hope everyone is having a fantastic Friday so far. I'm so glad that you're joining me here. If you're here live, I would love to know how you're doing today, how your week's been, and if you're watching the replay, feel free to comment replay. Are health challenges standing in the way of your success? Today, we are going to be exploring strategies to overcome these barriers so that you can feel supported and thrive in your professional life, achieving that success no matter what it means to you. I would like to talk about some personal experiences that I've had, not just with stress related kind of veering towards burnout symptoms, but also physical symptoms, because I do think that a lot of us are experiencing whether it's minor aches and pains, but sometimes like back discomfort or sports or fitness related injuries. And those things can definitely hinder our work performance depending on how physical our jobs are. Or maybe if they're not physical, even having to sit still for a really long time can be tough on your body. That whole thing of sitting is the new smoking is definitely true. So, what we're going to talk about today is how to prioritize your physical health, then how to manage your stress and your mental health, and then finally, what you can do if those things just aren't quite enough and you might need some more support. So, from a physical standpoint, I'll just share a quick story. About 6 years ago, I was in this really busy time of my life. I was working full time. I had just gone on this amazing trip. We did a hike in Nepal. I was training for a triathlon. I was going to be buying a house for the first time, and I was also planning to get a cat. And you might think, well, all of these things are positive. What could possibly be wrong in this situation? And I think that a lot of us underestimate the effect of stress. Stress does not have to be positive or negative. It just means that we're exhausting the capacity of our system. And if you know the threat bucket analogy, that bucket, our capacity is not large enough and we're getting overflow into these negative outputs. So I was feeling some stress, as I said, even though those were all good things, big milestones and achievements. But one day I went to a yoga class because I knew, well, I should be looking after myself, particularly when stress is high like this. So I'm at this yin class and it's so relaxing. I love yin and I still love yin. But we sat in a forward fold for maybe 5 or 7 minutes. And then everything was fine. The next day, when I woke up, I couldn't get out of bed. My right leg was numb, my toes were tingly. And I was like, uh oh. Being a physiotherapist, it definitely seemed like some kind of neurological disc or radicular thing. And in treating people in the past, I knew that this wasn't necessarily a fun experience because nerves can be a little touchy. However, I still went to work because even though I couldn't really feel the outside of my right leg and I couldn't put weight on it because it hurt so much, I just thought, well, I have to push through. It's my responsibility to my clients. And what if I don't go? What if I don't show up? Who's going to be there for them? So I put a lot of pressure on myself to continue to perform. I don't think I took any time off work. Actually, I remember that weekend I was planning to go on this camping and climbing trip with my friends. Technically, we were staying in cabins, so it was going to be a little more comfortable. And I was thinking, what are the chances that this will clear up in time to do that? Slim to none would be a realistic answer, but I decided to go anyway because I'd really been looking forward to this for months, and it was with a good group of girlfriends in a place that is beautiful that I love going to. So I ended up going, and it's really challenging to climb outdoors when you can't feel half of one foot. And I fell a lot of times, and landing on a foot that you can't feel, oh man, that's also not a great experience. Sleeping was hard, moving was hard. It wasn't a great trip. And then I just continued to use pain medication as much as I could. Nothing crazy, but just to take the edge off so that I could still function. And I didn't take any time off work. But what I did do was go to work as a physio. I would stand and treat clients. And then if I had 5 minutes between people, I would lay down on the floor because that was the most comfortable position. So it would be like stand up and treat for half an hour, 45 minutes, lie on the floor for like 2 to 3 minutes. Stand up and treat, lie on the floor, stand up and treat. It wasn't a good way to live. And when I got home, I would be exhausted. I would just lie on the ground and put ice or heat over my back and my leg. I'm not telling you this so that you feel sorry for me. I wanted to tell you this so that I could share some lessons that I gained from this experience and also in seeing how clients with the same sort of symptoms could have recovered faster. This probably took 8 months to fully resolve. It was slow and it felt extremely slow. But what really helped was taking my time and just, yes, continuing to work, but cutting back from all of the activities that I knew were exacerbating my symptoms and not helping to allow my body to rest, heal, and generally feel better to support sleep and immune health. So, what I want to emphasize here is that no matter what job you do, having good physical health is critical. If you have chronic health issues, and I know the one I just mentioned was physical, but being able to go from that higher stress state into our parasympathetic system so that we can allow our bodies the time to recover and rest when we need to take it, that is key because we only have so many stores to go around. And what's the point in pushing and pushing and pushing if it means that your injury is going to be prolonged and maybe you're more dependent on pain medication or things that upset your stomach or your digestive health, which also has a huge impact on your overall brain function and well-being. To me, this just doesn't make sense. So I was just talking about the physical health aspect of being able to look after yourself and how that can be a barrier to achieve career success. In my experience, over those 8 months while I was struggling and pushing through, work did not feel like a joy or fulfilling at all. It was a slog. I just dreaded waking up every day, knowing that I was going to go stand mostly on one foot to treat and catch breaks when I could, because as a contractor, you don't make money when you don't see clients. I don't know if anyone else has that experience, but the financial stress was also a big part of this. So, what I would like to encourage you to do is to make regular exercise, balanced nutrition, and adequate sleep a non negotiable part of your routine, whether you have an injury or not. But when you have an injury, those things become even more critical because, as I said, our capacities are reduced and we are so much more susceptible to things like inflammation in the foods that we eat or the lack of sleep that we're getting or even toxins in the environment. So taking care of yourself and really making it a priority is just a great first step. If you can achieve this, everything else will be much easier to fall into place. The second thing that I would like to touch on here is how to manage your stress or your mental health. Now, I know this is not rocket science to any of you, but taking care of your mental health is equally important. When you have chronic stress, whether that's because of your job or some other area of your life, it's basically going to impact every other area of function. So just because you have a boss who you don't get along with, or there's this culture at your work that makes you feel less than, those things affect how you show up and your physiology too. If you're chronically producing cortisol because you know you're about to go into a super stressful environment and people are going to look at you in a certain way or say things in a tone that doesn't really feel respectful or kind, then that can already prime your system to start being in a higher stress state even before you get there. It can impact your sleep. It can create this buildup of anxiety so that you are already heightened when you're sitting at home trying to eat your breakfast, but not digesting because things are so stressful. So, taking care of your mental health, doing things like the nervous system regulation tools or mindfulness, meditation, regular breaks, even in your workday, is really important. I did this a few weeks back, but I just wanted to touch on an exercise where if you're feeling really, really stressed, it helps you to stay more grounded in the present moment. So you could just do a body, like almost like a body scan, but progressive relaxation and contraction through your body. So you're squeezing your toes, relaxing them, squeezing your calves, relaxing them, squeezing through your upper thighs, your quads, your adductors, relaxing, squeezing your butt muscles. If you're sitting, you're rising a bit out of your seat as you do this, relaxing, squeezing your abdomen like you're wearing a corset, relaxing, squeezing like you're giving yourself a hug. This could just be a full upper body engagement exercise, and then relaxing. And maybe shrugging your shoulders up, squishing your face, closing your eyes really tightly, and then relaxing. What this really does well is to activate this part of your brain called the insula, and your insula is part of your interoceptive system, which helps give you more information about the felt sense within your body as well as your emotions. So when you are intentional about doing this, that boost of interoceptive input can help you remain connected and within your body, even when things around you feel like they might be spiraling out of control. Has anyone done an exercise like that when they're feeling stressed? I like that one when I'm having trouble going to sleep too, just to either scan from feet up to the top of my head or to actually add the contractions in. And I am going to be keeping this short and sweet today because I will admit that mental stress has been a little higher doing the workshop that was yesterday. It was awesome. And afterwards, I was so hopped up on adrenaline that I didn't have the greatest sleep. I do think that it is important to emphasize that, yes, even though it was a positive experience overall, and I was really grateful and happy that everybody was able to join and participate, I was still a little bit more anxious about it than I would any other Thursday night. So thank you everyone for joining who was able to make it. And for those of you who haven't yet been able to see your recording, it'll be coming to you later today. My last point here in being able to manage your health and breaking through health challenges so that you can have career success is to really seek support when you need it. Do not hesitate to reach out, whether that's your doctor, your therapist, any kind of medical professional, or even a coach to help provide this unique, individualized support to you so that you feel you have someone who you can share and be more vulnerable with, and then they can really address the concerns that are going on with you. For the most part, if there is an energy issue, maybe chronic fatigue or burnout or adrenal fatigue, those are things that can be addressed holistically. So you would probably want to consider looking at your nutrition, your physical health, your mental health, and maybe also looking at your mindset. So the beliefs that you have, anything around nutrition that might be leading to an inflammatory state, how much sugar you're taking in, caffeine, looking at how your sleep wake cycles might have been affected. And then taking all of that into account, sometimes there are medications or other supplements that can help support your hormonal health, and those will make a big difference for you too. I will say that having regular checkups with your professional team or your support is really key, especially if you are going through something actively and you don't want to have those like big crashes and then coming back to baseline and then having a big crash. It can help to level things out when you have someone there who you can chat with on a daily basis, weekly basis, and just update them so that they're able to tweak things and modify whatever it is that they're working on with you to make sure that it's actually working and giving you the results that you want. So what I've learned from my injury, that back injury I told you about, is to have less of an ego about it. And now, what I tell my clients is, with this story, I've learned that if this happened to me again, I would just take some time off to rest and recover. It's not going to change anyone's life but mine by taking a week or even 2 weeks off. Financially, it's not great, but there are ways to bounce back. That's not what we're getting into today, but being able to do supportive practices when you are feeling less than 100%, and knowing that even though this is taking time away from what it is that you really want to do right now, if you think of what the future holds when you take some time to look out for yourself and have some compassion around what you're going through, it ends up feeling way, way better in the future. And you start to develop a stronger, more trusting relationship between you and your body and your nervous system, which will then come back to support you in the future. So, do you have any questions about health concerns that you might be going through? I would be happy to address them, and perhaps if not today, then in the upcoming Q&A at the beginning of September. I can't believe we only have about a week left of August. But anyway, that's something that I'm not going to stress too much about because I don't have control over time or the seasons. So with that, feel free to leave me your questions, and I will look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks, everyone.